Nearly 24 states are calling on President Biden to declare Mexican drug cartels terrorist organizations. The attorney general from 21 states sent a letter to the president that states more than 100,000 Americans died from drug overdoses last year. More than half were caused by synthetic opioids like fentanyl. This, as the DEA is declaring fentanyl the single deadliest drug threat that our nation has ever faced. The letter goes on to say that Mexican drug cartels are using any means necessary to push illegal drugs across the border, including assassinating rivals, government officials, and killing Americans at the border. Joining me now is the former U.S. Border Patrol Chief Ronald Vitiello. He's also the former director of ICE. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mitch.
So if this is declared a terrorist organization or terrorist organizations, what does that help? What is the benefit?
Well, it will allow us to focus as a government, our society, the whole of government, prosecuting these smugglers, these criminals as terrorists. So you can engage agencies like the CIA, our intelligence community, to go after these cartels. They have enormous power. Unfortunately, we have a demand for illicit drugs in the United States, right, which fuels their profits. But we also are facing a border crisis, the likes of which we've never seen, which they're making lots and lots of money over. And we've heard from the president of Mexico before he became president. He campaigned on, hugs, not bullets, or some, weird kind of thing where he's going to tolerate these cartels as long as, people aren't dying on his side of the border. And so they've gotten enormous power. They act like terrorists, right? They kill their rivals. They change the political landscape. They corrupt government officials. And so having our government attack them as a problem, a comprehensive plan, attack them as a problem, and use the tools that we use against terrorists worldwide would help. You talked about, your reporter talked about how many people are dying with fentanyl. It's a big problem in the United States.
Well, let me ask you this, though. By the way, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, the Mexican president, said, abrazos, no balazos. You're right, hugs, not bullets. But if this is so clear cut, why has it not happened already? It would seem to be a no-brainer if it is, as you say.
Yeah, well, we have to have the will for it, right? We have to have our leadership engage and tell us what the plans are. We really have to have a lot of cooperation with Mexico in a scenario like this, right? Because if we attack this as a whole of government, you're talking about the Treasury Department and looking at how they finance and how they move money around the globe. You're talking about the Justice Department and finding these people either in the United States or overseas, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the CIA, the Department of Defense. You could engage on a plan, right? Just calling them terrorists is not going to make a big dent in this, right? A comprehensive plan to attack these threats to the magnitude that they are.
And let me ask you this, too. Terrorism is usually somebody trying to disrupt the American way of life, or, anyone's way of life, really. But we're talking about the United States here. Make us afraid, make us change our behavior. These cartels, as nefarious as they are, seem to be about making money. And I wonder if the motivation matters here as to the designation or how we go about attacking them.
Well, they act like terrorists across the globe, right? And we know that they have influence, undue influence on this side of the border as well. And so it's a danger. It's a danger for the people who live at the border. It's a danger to the homeland writ large, right? These drugs don't stay at the border. They're all over the country. And you reported on the deaths, over 100,000 Americans last year. And the synthetic opioids is a big problem. These cartels have been getting more powerful every decade, right? Back in the 80s, when I started as an agent, we were talking about marijuana, and then it moved to cocaine. Then it moved to methamphetamine. We legalized marijuana in many jurisdictions in the United States. And then now they've flipped into this fentanyl. And so they're going to do everything they can to make money, including what we're seeing on the border now, large numbers of illegal aliens who are being passed through them, and they're paying taxes to those cartels. Those smugglers are employed by the cartels. It's a big problem. We need to get control of that border. And then if we're going to designate these cartels as terrorists, you're going to have the whole of government approach to attack it with a lot of cooperation from Mexico, not just politically, but operationally and culturally.
That's true. It's going to be tough to control the border if you're only controlling one side of it. That is Ronald Vitiello. He's a former U.S. Border Patrol chief and director of ICE. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.